teleprompter. What are you doing? I feel like I'm in Greece.
All right, now we're fine. What happens in Greece?
I don't know. It's like they're all like up against each other. Remember, like Greece? Like, look at this. I feel like I'm in a movie poster.
They don't have any personal space.
She does look like she was flexing.
I'm trying to get
Jesus.
the best.
Well,
No, who you remind me of? The Brazilian dancer in Greece, the one Cha-Cha. You know, she was like the woman, and like Sandy was like, "What the hell?"
It's the hair.
Yeah, and you were like, "Oh, Cha-Cha."
Have we welcomed our audience yet?
I don't know that we have.
Welcome.
Welcome
Hi.
to Greece.
Yeah, exactly. It's the word.
In typical
Right.
DTLT fashion, we're still messing around before
All
we
right,
get
so
serious.
what's our topic today?
The topic for today is that I brought up the idea that it seems like more recently than not, educational technologists feel like they're on one side or the other with new technologies. With Google Plus or with the iPad, it's either it's going to change education, it's amazing, or on the other end of it, they're like, screw it, I'm not going to touch it at all. And especially with Google Plus, in my network anyway, more people seem to be on the other side of the fence. Not even going to deal with it, not interested in it at all. I don't really care about it. And I'm wondering if that's sort of an unfair pass to give people. Not so much just regular educators. They can choose whatever network they want. But as educational technologists, do we have a prerogative to use these networks, figure out what's going on with them? Or are we allowed to just say, you know, yeah, not interested until it's compelling, and then we have to get in there?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, if I can just jump in right here, I remember back in 2007, I don't know, I think it was 2008, when Andy and Martha were playing around with Twitter, and I remember Cole Campbell-East they were like the earliest people I remember, and I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm not getting on Twitter. I was all like, the blog is the blog. Don't start with Twitter, and I got kind of like defensive, but over time, when I saw uses for it and people started doing awesome stuff with it, I jumped on.
Well, and similarly, I remember back in like spring of 2006 when Jim was trying to get us to use Typo 3 and Slideshow Pro, and I was like,
Yeah.
no way, no how.
Those were dark
that
times.
sucks. And boy, did I not learn a lesson from that.
You didn't? You were actually right.
Because I was totally right.
were
Yeah,
right.
that basically was the point I was trying to
And he
make.
was-
Thank God I didn't jump on that
So
bandwagon.
And he
What a
was
waste of my time.
Totally wrong about Twitter. So,
Okay.
so he's 2 for 2.
I'm usually wrong, but I look good. It's a
So-
big difference.
The message to our viewers should be to watch what Jim likes or dislikes
do the
and do the
opposite.
exact opposite.
Yeah, because we
right.
could then start talking about the iPad.
Yeah.
We should. I think that's a big one to talk about.
Jim, you know, has been down on the iPad, and it's probably one of the most successful electronic
Well, I don't think he ever
devices.
suggested it wouldn't be successful. He just
No,
suggested
yeah,
that
that's
we would all
probably
be
true. And
idiots using it.
seriously, the argument is whether it changes education. I think is what people said that the iPad would do, and to me it's another computer, you know.
Well, yeah.
And at the time it was a device that didn't do any of the creation. You know, it was really a consumption device. I talked about that, wrote about that. But since then, I mean, it's every bit as much a creation device. There's a lot of creative tools. I'm playing with, you know, synthesizers and mixing tools and that sort of thing, where you can create music on it and literally record and do all the things that a computer would do. So,
I was just going to say, and my philosophy has always been that I'm neither going to say this is going to change education. I'm not going to go on either end of the spectrum. So I'm not going to say this is the most amazing thing since sliced bread, you know, whatever. Or I'm also not going to just dismiss it outright and say probably not worth my time and effort. Because of the position that we're in, where people are looking to us, I guess, to be able to tell them what's worth its salt. What should I invest my time and energy in?
And I guess I don't feel like I have a responsibility to try everything, because I'm a professional and I'm allowed to choose the things I want to invest my time in, because I can't do everything.
Sure.
But I would never want to dismiss without knowing any tool or technology. Like, I haven't really played with Google Plus. I don't really have thoughts one way or the other. And if somebody came to me and said, hey, what do you think about Google Plus? That's what I'd tell them.
Right.
And if they were interested in doing more, I would explore it with them. I mean, the same way that we tell students, we don't let them dismiss out of hand. Like, we have students in DS 106 who are like, Twitter, I don't want to have anything to do with Twitter.
Yeah.
And what we say to them is,
gotta
for this
know it.
class, you got to have something to do with it. And if at the end you decide you never want to like log in again, that's fine. I don't care. But engage with it before you dismiss it.
Yeah.
But
Say
I don't
yes
think I
before you
have to
say no.
engage with everything, but I don't think I can dismiss the things that I don't engage with.
Yeah. And I think in some ways, one of the problems with the technologist, the way you're framing the idea of the technologist, but the way the idea of the technologist is framed more generally, is like you have to be in there, you have to evaluate the tool, and then like every other tool out there, you have to say like, this is why it's good or bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think,
That's-
you know, that's not all what we have to do, but I think even more as technologists, I think we should be thinking more about the implications of the tool, the implications of Google having a social network that is kind of building on an existing social network like Facebook, what it means for ideas of privacy, for ideas of identity. Like those questions around Google Plus right now and identity are interesting. Like, will they let you have a fake name? Will they let you have a fake identity? And, you know, I
Which is
like those ideas.
Yeah, that's a rather huge thing. And I think it's also our responsibility. It reminds me of a conversation I had with my mom a couple weeks ago. My mom is a lifelong educator. She just retired as a college professor, and she got an iPad in the spring.
Yeah.
And she started playing around with it, and she loves it. Like, she's never seen without it. And and she was like, Martha, this is the future of education. And I was like, what? And she's like, you should see these books that people are developing. This is the future of textbooks. This is the future of education. This is what technology has been promising us. And it's going to happen. And I was just kind of cringing as I heard this because I really respect my mom. And, you know, she knows a lot of what we do here. But I'm thinking, you know, in my position, I feel like part of my responsibility is to be like, look, this is what it is. But let's be honest about what it represents. And do you really want the future of education to be this lockdown, highly, very slick, highly produced textbook coming out of the same publishers who are like, you know,
I mean, let's
blackmailing us.
That's the real problem behind the iPad. It is extremely popular, but you know.
Well, but that's just it. The reason that it's popular and the reason that people do see this change in education is because it's the way that you interact with the device that changes things. It's not the device is, you know, any great difference between a normal computer other than, you know, you touch things and there's assistive technology capabilities that's built into it and that sort of thing. It allows this new way to interact with things that haven't been possible before. And that's how it changes education. For some people it's good, for some people it's bad, but I think in general it's a new and neat way to go.
And I think good and bad, you know, that's probably where, as you frame it early on, Tim, is where we get into trouble. Like, I don't want no part of this or I want part of this, but more of kind of a sitting back and kind of a critical idea of, okay, this form, the iPad, the touch device, Apple, whatever, is going to be dominant. And by extension, what does that mean for ideas of book deals, of the idea of locking down this material? What does it mean for the open web and the idea we understand so many things that we've been pursuing as a group? I mean, we have biases. I have biases. But, I mean, those things are actually real, but we can't ignore the fact that that choice and that direction has implications for what we thought was some of the real possibilities of the web and open education and making it more affordable and freely sharing the stuff we do. Now, apps aren't freely shared 9 times out of 10, and that's even becoming more the case now. We've seen it even happen with plugins and themes for WordPress. Like, more and more, there's a price on everything. And I don't know, I mean, good or bad, I don't know if that's good or bad. Again, I don't want to...
There's two ways of looking at that, and one of them is, I mean, these apps... The good thing is that they're not expensive. You know, we're talking about 99 cents in some cases. So it makes it much more accessible. The other thing is the control is there. Essentially, I mean, Apple may want to have the control, but it's also there to keep things working properly. You know, so that things don't break as often. And that's the advantage of it.
That gets really gray. I mean, because what about those apps that they politically don't like? Those apps,
sure.
I mean,
but that's separate from
area.
but that's separate from the idea of stuff working.
Well, that was the whole fascist idea of eugenics.
I'm gonna steer us back in the direction of where we're headed because I see another debate with Apple, and we can do that. But the thing,
Do we have to?
yeah, I mean that's not really coming back to the main thing. I wonder if, specifically with Google Plus, if the outlash is sort of. You know, with one person I read, Dean Sharesky, he sort of pointed to Google Wave and said, look at everyone who got excited about Google Wave, and then a year later, all that time and investment into that product was for nothing. They just killed it outright and said, yeah, it's not happening anymore. And so I'm wondering if people are a little bit gun-shy to jump back in with Google.
And then they had
especially
Buzz.
with Google.
I mean, in the interim, they had Buzz, which was a bust, and they had similar privacy.
Well, and there's other products with
and
Google that we champion. Google Docs, I mean, if someone came to me and said, Microsoft Live, that's what I want to use, I'd say, I'm a big Google Docs fan, but when it comes to these social things, we have a history with Google of it sucking. And so it's sort of this idea, I don't know if you really want to spend all your time in there. And a social network, is a bit different than someone just saying, there's this tool online that I want to try out. I'm probably more likely
Yeah.
to jump in there and play around with it real quick. With the social network, it's like you jump in there, the first thing they want to know is all your personal
Yeah.
information.
Right.
Who are your friends? Can
Right.
I friend you? Can I put you in a circle? And that's a little bit different, even as an educational technologist, to say, I just want to figure out what this is,
Right.
how you use it, as opposed to jumping in whole hog and putting all my information out there.
But what I thought was remarkable early on with Google Plus was just how quickly, based on all my other social networks and emails, that you had a ton of people.
Yeah.
As many as I spent, and many years as I spent in Facebook, though I wasn't an avid user, I had more people already in Google Plus than I did in Facebook following me or I'm following.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, like, the whole circle system, I don't think, and frankly, Google Plus does not get me excited in any real way.
Yeah.
But I mean, the only thing I like about it is those Hangouts.
Right.
Are you
and the
using
video
it?
Hangouts. I am watching it. Yeah, I'm going on there and looking at
You
it.
do?
Yeah, I do. But it reminds me so much of Facebook, and I mean, it just seems like
Right.
such a vapid ripoff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
other than the Hangouts, it doesn't seem to add anything else. But who knows? Like Twitter, I could be in there in 2 months being like, "Oh my God, Google Plus saved my life."
Well, I think what's critical for any of these technologies, and Twitter's the best example, is that they kind of made it this open thing where all the innovation took place after it came out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much Google is actually doing that with Google Plus.
Yeah. There
It
was
seems
no
like
prescribed use case. It was
Exactly.
just like, this is a really cool, simple
Yep.
tool. What are you going to use it for?
And-
And then you wait and see what emerges, and you build
right.
Yeah.
the business around that. And I don't think that's what's going to happen with Google Plus. Like, given Google's track record, I think
Right.
they tend to be much more prescriptive.
Yeah, and this is where the control is a negative.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, if anything, they're preventing specific uses.
Right.
Brands are getting pulled off
Right.
of there. Coca-Cola and others, they're saying, no, you couldn't have
Yeah.
a profile, and they're taking it back off. There's
Right.
with the real names
Yeah.
policy.
And
So-
say what you will about Facebook, they've definitely taken some missteps as well. But I think they lean more towards the direction of Twitter, where, like, Facebook when it first started out, it wasn't this hugely engineered experience. I think
Right.
it has evolved.
Right. Yeah.
Some may not like the ways it has evolved, but it has evolved in reaction to users.
Yeah.
The thing I like about Twitter that Google Plus, I don't know if it ever is going to answer this, is that the limit of 140 characters with Twitter allows its API to be exploited in other ways. And a great example of this is Flipbook on the iPad,
Right.
where Twitter goes out and you look at Twitter as this 140 character thing.
Kudos
you see
for
the
bringing
avatar.
the iPad back into the conversation,
Well,
by the
I
way.
tried to get it back in
That's
there
nice.
as
Yeah.
best
Can
I
I
could.
talk about Eugenics then again?
Now look, we're gonna that'll be the line that we don't cross again. Okay?
Every day, Jim's going to
But
see
anyway-
if he can get eugenics.
But to get back to my point, where I was, had the floor.
You've been doing really good today.
the
talking,
Twitter-
by the way.
He's been practicing.
Twitter with the avatar and the links or the hashtags that are there, Flipboard allows you to kind of look at that in a different way just by taking the API and kind of exploding it out. So when you see a Twitter post from somebody that you know, they have the link there that's expanded out either to a picture, like from
Right.
TwitPic, or the link goes to a web page screenshot.
video.
And it's
yeah.
just a new way of looking at it.
I also think, like, just on a conceptual level, it bothers me when I hear people saying, "Oh, I love Google Plus because I'm not limited to 140 characters anymore." And the idea that, like,
the beauty
the
of it.
only thing we could do, it's like you did have a blog.
Right.
Like,
Couldn't
if you
put your
really
content
have
anywhere
more to
else.
say, and frankly, I don't want my social network to be everybody writing.
Right.
But that space to be everybody writing long blog posts.
And if
I
you
will
try
read
to-
people's blogs for that.
If you try to follow the stream in Google Plus, it
much
goes
more,
off the
yeah.
page
Yeah.
much quicker
Right.
than Twitter does, and
It
Twitter
does,
just
and it
allows
also-
you this
yeah.
quick review of who's
Yeah.
talking about what.
yeah.
Well, and there's services like Twit Longer that allow you to do that
And I
extra
hate them.
space. Yeah, because it's like, why not get your own blog?
Or get a
rather,
Tumblr.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. There
You're
are
going to
other
write
tools
30
that do
pages
that,
of
yeah.
information on twitlonger.com
Yeah.
and put it out on Twitter as opposed to just having your
Yeah.
own blog.
Can we do another show on how I think of the ridiculousness of having a Tumblr, a Posterous, and a blog?
No.
Like when did?
Thanks for asking, though.
It is nice that he made it a question.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Decent.
My
And rather
sideburns-
out of
If I cut
character.
my sideburns off right now,
this-
they would kick your sideburns' ass.
This
Yeah.
device is available at any time, so if you want to come here
So it'll
late
just
at
be
night,
Jim today.
Yeah, yeah, Jim at night.
Okay.
It'll have the explicit tag probably too.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, but back to the point when before you guys got off track. The bigger point is, I'd rather see people writing on their own blogs and doing their own thing
When
than
they're doing that kind of
Google
stuff.
Plus.
Yeah, yeah.
When they decide to blog again.
Yeah, right. Who's
When you
posted?
guys
Who's
decide to blog
posted
again.
on Google Plus? I mean, who's I mean, other than
Timmy
commenting on
has.
other stuff.
I have,
I have.
but it's all about Google Plus stuff.
Yeah, right. What do you think of Google
That's
Plus?
the rule of Google
Look at
Plus.
me,
Is you
I'm in
only
Google
talk
Plus.
about
Yeah.
Google Plus. Yeah, it's like Fight Club.
Well,
So,
and the circles thing is an issue too with me. It's
Yeah.
kind of like somebody brought up the argument that Twitter you have followers, and it would be nice just to have followers, but then you have to on Google Plus you have to figure out, are they a friend, are they an acquaintance?
Yeah,
Do you need to
right.
create a new group? How do you create a new
And I
group?
don't really like thinking about people that way.
No,
Yeah.
I don't like thinking.
I just put
period.
people into friends or just followers. I
Friends
just cut
and
them in half.
followers. Just cut
But
in half.
You cut
frankly,
people in half.
I did. Frankly, I don't think I'll be on Google Plus. I don't think we'll be talking about it.
Well, there's got to be some.
Yeah.
There's got to be some hook that gets developed.
Yeah. We're out of time.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
So.
So that's it for now. We'll talk more about Google Plus, Tumblr, iPads, and a lot more at some
Bye-bye.
other point. See
PS
ya.
16 for
See you,
life.
folks.
Thank you.